Japan Station is made possible in part by Patreon support, and I would like to say welcome and thank you to Nicholas Andriani, our latest patron. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for joining the $3 a month plus alpha tier. That gives Nicholas access to Japanese Plus Alpha, my podcast about the Japanese language that I release on a monthly basis. The latest episode is about the words kaze and kaze. So in Japanese, the words kaze and kaze mean the common cold and wind. They both sound exactly the same, and there's an interesting relationship between those two words. So if you want to find out about that, head on over to japankyo.com/Patreon, sign up for the Plus Alpha tier. You can also join for as little as $1 a month. And if you want to support the show by picking up a t-shirt or a hat, then go check out kimitodesigns.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Japan Station. My name is Tony Vega and I'm your host. And for you regular listeners out there, you may have noticed that that's not the typical intro. Normally I would just say welcome to Japan Station, but I had to add the ladies and gentlemen there because of my guest today. So my guest today is known in part for saying that because she does the English language announcements for the Shinkansen, the bullet train in Japan, right? If you've ever been to Japan, you've almost certainly ridden the bullet train, and that means that you've heard her voice. She's been doing that since I think it was 2003. She says it in the conversation today. So anyway, Donna Burke, she is a hilarious person, super talented, just a pleasure to talk to. I loved talking to her. But aside from just that interesting facet of her career, you know, doing the English language announcements for the Japanese bullet train, being the voice of the bullet train in Japan in English, she's also done tons of other really interesting stuff. She's got a long career going back to the 90s. She's done tons of voices for Japanese video games like Shenmue and Silent Hill 2 and 3, I believe. Also the Metal Gear Solid games like Metal Gear Solid 5. She's also a singer, and she's done singing for video games like Sins of the Father for you Metal Gear Solid fans out there. She also did the voice for the iDroid, again, for you Metal Gear Solid fans out there. But she's also done tons of music for Japanese commercials. She's done all kinds of voices too. For example, the commercial for Mazda, where you hear zoom, zoom, right? She does that. She does that. She does that. That comes up in the conversation today. But she's done tons and tons of stuff. She also runs her own company selling Kaido, which are these like heat pads, very popular in Japan. We talk about that today. But as I said, she's also a hilarious person. She does improv. And so I think at the beginning of the conversation today, she was kind of feeling me out. She didn't know if I was like a super serious person, like what kind of interview this was going to be. But I think it didn't take her that long to realize that I don't mind joking around and doing a little bit of a improv and saying silly things as well. So towards the end of the conversation, like it's just a different tone, right? It starts to get like progressively sillier and funnier as we move along in the conversation. So it's just a really fun conversation, but you also get to learn about this really interesting person, right? Like I said, you've almost certainly heard her voice, but you've probably never stopped and thought about like, who is this person? Well, now you're going to get to know who the person behind that voice in the Shinkansen is. And I think you're going to love it. I certainly loved it. I love talking to Donna. Anyway, so let's get to it. Here is my conversation with the incredible, hilarious, talented Donna Burke.
The next stop is Japan Station. The doors on the right side will open.
I have to ask you about the Shinkansen thing. I can only imagine that it's that you must whip that out every once in a while with Japanese people and blow their minds, like at a party or something.
All the time. That's my party trick. It's my party trick.
Yes, your ippatsuge.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah. I like, you know, because when you hear like, for example, Mel Blanc or, you know, like these very well-known voice actors that are in cartoons and that kind of thing, you're like, oh, I'll go over to a little kid and I'll tell them the voice, right? I can only imagine that's the kind of reaction you get.
Totally.
Like, oh my God.
Yep. Like, hey, oh. And I rarely get recognised, but the other day I got recognised and I did it for them in Muji, Roppongi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, please get out your video, and I'm, very happy to bring a smile to someone's face. It's really cool.
I love that. I love that. To have that ability, that's just such a thing that you can always pull out at any moment, and it's the life of the party.
Yay!
All right. So, of course, I have to ask then, how did you end up going to Japan? What was the thought process that led you, I'm leaving Australia and Japan is the place where I want to go?
Well, it wasn't. I left Australia after 8.5 years of teaching, and I went to Europe and got so tired of travelling, but I didn't want to go back to my old life in Australia. My dream was to be a singer and an actor, but at the age of 30, I thought I'd lost my chance. And so Japan provided me a job teaching English, which meant that I could not go back to Perth. So it wasn't, I had no offence to Japan, but I had no interest in going there. I had no culture shock or nothing, because it was all new and different. And I was also sick of sightseeing. So as soon as I got there, I was like, oh, I don't want to see another temple or castle, because I totally OD'd in Europe.
Yeah. All right. So then you get into teaching, but then how do you break into voice acting? Like how did you get your first job? Like, how did that whole process go?
So in Australia, I was always singing, and I would refer myself to semi-professional singer. But so as soon as I got here, I saw an ad in a magazine for singers for weddings, and in the mid-90s, having a foreign person at your wedding singing Amazing Grace, which we all sing at funerals, but here it's like a wedding song, was like the height of sophistication, and like, wow, that was a really good wedding. And because I used to be a wedding singer in Australia, I was like, sure. And then the money I was making was so good. And from there, very quickly, someone said, oh, we need a singer for a TV commercial. And that's how I got into it.
Huh. Well, like I know, even today you still see it, but like, for example, the foreign priest, right? They have like the white guy as the priest.
Yeah. That was me. I was sitting next to the foreign fake priest.
I love that. I knew. I worked. I had a writer that did that briefly in Japan, and so I got to talk.
I probably know who that writer is.
Yeah. It's a very interesting little world in the world of Japanese weddings,
but
I guess.
You know what? Even though the chapel's fake and the priest is fake, I've had the same thrill at singing at a wedding, and I always found it so romantic, as I would in Australia. I just love it.
Yeah. No, that same guy, like he said, I was putting on the thing, but for him it was like emotionally, he really cared about the people that he was, marrying.
Yeah, there's something really special about it.
Yeah. I guess part of it is, I guess, you want to be in it 100%. And so through the process, you just have to appreciate what you're doing too, right? So,
and as an actress, like the people watching is fabulous. All the relatives and the people, the reaction of it is really special.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a commercial, a job for a commercial doing a song, and then from there, like did that kind of open the door, and you started
totally open the door. I faked it till I made it. I then made a demo tape of all Haagen-Dazs, and I never actually did the ad for Haagen-Dazs, but you wouldn't have known that from my demo tape. And every time I got anytime I got money, I would invest in making a better demo tape. So I really kept trying hard. Like I wasn't just happy to, like, I always wanted to get more work. How can I get more work? How can I be better? So
right. So how do you go about doing that at the time? Because I mean, nowadays it's much easier to have like a home studio and all that. But how was it back then?
That's it's. So you'd have to rent a studio. You'd have to find an engineer. You have to find. My very first demo tape. I had a pianist play, so I didn't even have backing tracks. I just had. I sang live, for about 5 different songs, and then Did I have? I think I actually had a tape deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. This was even before MDs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, maybe you had a mini disc, but I guess,
Yeah, no,
cassettes.
mini disc. Oh, jeez, I would have wished for. So demo tapes went to mini discs. Mini discs went to CDs.
Yeah.
And then about 2010, things got good enough so you could use the web.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have to Tacuban or post your demo tape. There was no way you could digitally send it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so everything was slower. You'd make decisions slower. You'd have to send something to a client and then they'd have to wait for it to arrive.
Yeah. and all the while you're also teaching English. Is that still the case?
I quit within a year.
Uh-huh.
Within a year, I had quit. In fact,
okay.
they fired me, not because I was bad, but the school wasn't. The school was losing money terribly because of no children were joining. Because it was the slackest time of my life. I had to teach for 4 hours a day, and it was just like the laziest. It was like almost being in coronavirus. Like, what am I going to do today? Well, I've got 18 hours to watch television, and I'm just going to rock up to. And the school was really close. Yeah, I wish that I'd spent that time learning Japanese, but I didn't. So I still can't speak Japanese very well.
I mean, but yeah, you've gotten by pretty well, even though you're not like, JLPTN1 or something like that. But I mean,
I'm
I've
not
heard
even
you speak some Japanese too.
JPLT3. So that's so true. I think everyone's got gifts, and speaking different languages is not mine.
Yeah. But like, I've heard you speak on other podcasts and like mentioning how even though you may not be able to say absolutely everything, you're still able to joke around and show that you're happy, you're there, you're willing to do the work, and even with like some good humor, so to speak, right?
Totally. I mean, communication's 70% nonverbal, so I could be speaking very polite Japanese and be an absolute cow to work with. So I know which one I'd rather. Yeah.
Okay, so then what about how did you break into games? Like I mean the first listing that I see is for Shenmue. And that was like late 90s still, right? I think.
Yeah. That was like the cushiest job ever. I think I had 5 lines and they paid me 100,000 yen.
Oh.
And I got some really vivid memories of that. Because you were just sitting waiting to get called into the booth at Sega down near Haneda Airport. And there was just, of course, they blew their budget. So there'd be 5 of us sitting around just waiting to get called in by the director. And I'm actually just about to put something out on YouTube. So if you get ahead by asking someone who's not your competitor, who you have demonstrated competency to, that you would like some introductions to their contacts. So the only thing for them is that there's 2 things. It could go badly. They could recommend you, and you could be really awful. Or they could recommend them to a valued game person or singing person, and then you absolutely wow them, and that person will come back to you and to them and say, "Mate, Donna Burke, what a great introduction! Thank you so much." So that's my advice. If you prove to your colleagues who are not your competitors that you're really great to work with, you can only make them look good if they recommend you. So it's very rare. Like maybe once a year I'll meet someone who I think is good enough for me to recommend to. So I just recently met a couple from Sweden, Indigo and Maya, and I've been recommending them to everyone. Happens like once every 2 years. And so that's why all of my clients are like, "Thanks, Donna." And I don't know if you know, but I also have a booking agency. So now I'm very interested in why I book people, and it's not just about talent. It's about attitude. It's about turning up. It's about that working ethic.
Well, something that I hear, and this is in the American entertainment industry, but it probably applies to what we're talking about here to some extent, is when you're going to be doing a job with someone, maybe it's days, weeks, or months, you want to make sure that they're reliable and that they're going to be fun to work with and productive and a good person to be around for that amount of time too, right? So, I mean, I'm sure that plays into part of it, aside from simply being a talented person.
The good thing about the other side of the coin, though, in session, as a session singer or vocalist or voice actor for hire, I might book someone who's a real pain in the bum because it's only 2 hours out of my life.
True.
I can put up with them because he's going to really be fantastic. So it's it does go the other way as well. You think, how are these people getting any work? It's because their talent is enough to put up with their annoyingness.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be better? I just want to have the talent and be nice.
Yeah.
That's a secret sauce.
Okay, so then how have you seen things change, especially in the game industry, where I think, especially in the 90s and even into, let's say, the early 2000s, Japanese games weren't known for having the most amazing voiceover work. Let's just say that. But nowadays, that's not so much an issue anymore. Like, how have you seen that, like, on a day-to-day basis, like, affect you? How have you seen that change the industry evolve?
Well, first of all, I can barely remember what happened in the early 2000s. I have a really bad memory. So a lot of this is going to be creative
reconstruction.
Now, I remember for Silent Hill 2, there was a guy called Jeremy Blaustein, and this is how bad my memory is. I can't even remember if Jeremy was on Silent Hill 3. I imagine he was. So if there's a very rare person who could flick between Japanese and English, and he was able to really call out poor performances and say, do it again. But the problem was also the technology back then was so slow that you could only shoot like 30 to 40, maybe a minute's worth of content at a time, because the Macintosh computers would crash all the time because the little motion capture suit that you were wearing, it just couldn't. And then I think we always did our voice after, so it was just the acting was first, and then you go and had to re-record your voice, lip sync it to the. So it's for the technology was really poor, and
Would you also say that it's become more competitive? It's just there's a lot more people trying to get those
You know why?
kind of jobs?
It's because I'm competing with bloody Keanu Reeves. That's where the competition's coming. The Hollywood people just muscling in. Yeah. So I'm very lucky that I got a profile in video games and in video game music and anime before it was groovy. Yeah. Because back in 1996, you wouldn't having people like, oh, that's pretty niche, pretty cool. But now video games is Hollywood. Yeah,
definitely. It's become.
So that's who my competition is now.
Yeah. I mean, Metal Gear Solid and all those are like prestige games, and yeah, it's a whole other level.
So because I live in Japan, I'm competing. My Japanese game companies, of course, would love to go and record in LA and have all of the incredible choice of voices, but then it's also there's a lot of talent who reside in Tokyo, and it's so convenient. They can sleep in their own bed, they can have ramen late at night. So that's where I'm still doing voice recording for games now. I just did Fitboxing 2. Nintendo still gives me work, so there is times where they just think, I don't want to, we just want to direct some good actors here. Yeah. So at what point, like, for example, very early on, you're just doing like one job here, one job there, I assume, but like
was it early on that you thought like I can make this into a career? Is this going to be a significant thing, or was the game thing always like it's just an extra thing on top of all the other stuff that you were doing?
It was all just the game thing was the cherry on top of the very base of it was educational narration. A is for apple. B is for bear, because I'm Japanese and I need to learn English.
Yeah.
So that's what all these voice actors who are currently living in Japan, that's their bread and butter, making content every year for textbooks, for cram schools,
Right.
And then on top of that, there's the NHK documentaries. They make documentaries for the world, so that provides a lot of bread and butter, the NHK news and documentary. So if you get a game job, it's like woohoo! Yeah. That's why you're doing the boring. A is for Apple, so that you are available for when you can get a really cool job.
Right.
But there's a friend of mine. She did the motion capture for Death Stranding for a character.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the very end that I found out that she just did the motion capture. So she's not credited as an actress.
Oh.
She can't go to a Comic-Con and say, you know, that was me.
Right.
Because another Hollywood actress she was just a filler. So I think I feel really sorry for her, because she only joined this industry in the last 5 years, so she's missed out.
Yeah. Huh. So at what point was there a game that you thought like, oh man, this is like the industry is changing, this is really like a big step in my career? Like when was that? I thought that everything I do, I think, oh my God, this is it. This is it. So when I sang After All for Gundam the movie, I thought like I was just going to be world famous. That was in 2001. So I was wrong. Then 2003, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles comes out. I sing and narrate. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, this is going to be huge. And like, no, I wasn't. Then when Metal Gear Solid came along in 2010, I people tell me, because I'm not a gamer, so this is really famous. It's almost like someone saying, pointing somebody out and saying, he's got the biggest pig farm on Hawaii, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I'm not really into pig farming, so
but that's good. Anyway, what are we going to have for dinner? And it's like, so people pointing, oh my God, that's Kojima-san, and this is huge.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, he could be talking about crochet stitches or something. You feign, that's very interesting. Because, and then, oh God, when did I know it was a big deal? I think it was the 25th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid when it finally sunk in, and I was introduced to Stan Lee at the party.
Whoa.
And this is how dumb I am. I didn't even know who he was. And someone said, the Marvel guy. G'day, Stan. Yes, nice. Just ignorance. If it was L.M. Montgomery who was raised from the dead and I'm an expert in Anne of Green Gables, I would be like, oh my God, it's that. But yes, now I look back and like, far out, Stan Lee.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
I mean, well, that can also help you not get in your own way, so to speak, right? You just, you do the job, you don't let all the hype or whatever get to you, you just do the best you can, and that's it.
It's true. So, I think I realised it was a huge deal when I started, when Heavens Divide, so Peace Walker. So 2010, I was like, wow, this is... And then 2011, I think I was invited to an anime convention in Australia, and so... So it's been very gradual, and I've got lots of other things going on. So it's unfortunate that it's not my whole identity.
Well, I heard you speak about that kind of topic a little bit in another podcast, but when you hit something big like that, it's very easy to become like that person, right? Like the Star Wars person or the whatever person, in your case, the Metal Gear Solid lady, right? Like what was your thought process to that? It's like, like embrace it, move away from it, try to do something else? Like how did you approach that?
I think like right now, I want to keep. So after Metal Gear, the Phantom Pain came out in 2015, and I remember Stephanie Houston and she came over for one night, and we were feeling really like, what's next? Because we both we don't want this role to define us, even though it's the greatest role of our life. We need to create. And I've always been, I don't want to be waiting for the phone to ring. I need to create my luck. So we made a show together, a comedy show on YouTube, which was like the worst production values ever. But that's wink, wink. That's part of the fun of it. And that was our way of taking control back. Yeah. And we're not waiting for some director to, I think that. No, we're going to bring joy, bring a laugh. And I think that really helped us create a new future. And then I think the same year that Metal Gear came out, 2015, Glassy Sky from Tokyo Ghoul came out and became this massive, massive hit. Yeah. And then that also really spoke to me of, Peace Walker, no idea what I was doing when I was recording that song. Glassy Sky, no idea that this was going to be a huge, huge world hit. And it was a gift that the universe just plonked down, did the recording, enjoyed that, forgot about it, and then comes back later as a massive thing. And which I didn't do anything to get that success, which is really a nice feeling. Like, it's just, wow, that just happened.
Right.
So I on the one hand, I keep working. So this year I released a song, even though it's COVID, and I'm about to, this today actually, Glassy Sky, I've done a remix of that. That's coming out on Spotify. And so I made a tribute song for Metal Gear Solid movie last year because there was a lot of hype that it was going to come out. And I thought, I don't want to wait to be asked to audition for this. I want to make a really amazing theme song for this movie. And if I don't get asked by Jordan Vogt Roberts to be involved in the movie, it's not because I didn't put myself out there. So I'm really inspired by Hollywood A-listers, actresses who contact directors and send them demo tapes of them doing stuff and not them naked.
I was not expecting that last line.
Hey, I'd love to work with you. Yes, here's a little demo tape. I think that's a good. No. So they're willing to humble themselves, and I'm thinking that's good. I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to make a Metal Gear Solid, the movie theme song, website, the whole thing. Get the Macedonian Orchestra.
Yeah.
Boom. So, yeah. So on the one hand, please wait and be patient. On the other hand, no one's coming to save me. I need to create my next project. So at the moment, I'm working on a screenplay for Netflix for a TV show. Have they asked me? No.
Yeah, but whatever. You do it.
Yes. Before that, and when they ask me for the screenplay, I'll say, I'll pull out a drawer and I'll be able to hand them. There you go. It's about
Well, yes, sir. I do have a script for you.
What a coincidence. I can't say anything more, but I'm working with this great screenwriter in LA. And this
awesome.
this idea came from, I really, really want to do more symphony concerts, but Metal Gear music is so niche and I only get to sing 3 or 4 songs. So I'd love to do my own symphonic concerts, singing all of these wonderful songs and some of the greatest hits. So is someone going to come to me and organise that? No. So right now I'm gathering the rights. But what would be even better would be to own the rights to some fabulous songs that I don't have to ask Square Enix or Konami or Capcom. I can just, I want to own the rights. So that's where the idea for this screenplay, first musical came out, and now it's going to be a show on a streaming platform. So yeah, I'll just work on stuff.
Very cool. Wow. No, I mean,
with
that's
really good people. So I'm not just working on with the lady down the road. I'm actually, I pay to work with really great people. I try not to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
yeah.
well, as
But
we
I'm a
discussed.
brilliant actress. I am actually an asshole. But I save it for my private life. And in my professional life, I act like a nice person. And I think that's working out really well. Jeffrey! Sorry about that. You can cut
I'll
that
edit
out
that. Yeah.
later.
Don't worry. I got you.
Yeah.
So, okay. So singing, acting, but then I also saw that you are credited also as a lyricist. You've been helping either flat out writing songs, it seems, or helping with the writing process. I heard you discuss a little bit with that for the Metal Gear material, but how do you get into that angle of things? Is it just you being like, let me do it?
Yeah, super easy. So first of all, I have always loved writing and so it's not even like to me it's like you. I don't know. To people standing around going, how did you know when to take the laundry out of the machine? And how did you just instinctively know how to just, I don't know, like you just did it then, you folded, and you're like, it's really easy because you have no ego about it. You're not like, and if someone came and you said, can you just fold that T-shirt differently? You're not like, no, this is how. You're just like, oh yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So if I have no ego, and also I do improv, which is called, the whole idea of improv is disposable theatre. Yeah. So you're constantly creating stuff that will never be seen again. You just create, throw it away, So with lyrics, it's the same thing. I just do a half-assed job. Am I on the right track? Yeah, we love it. Other people, no, it's not a medieval sort of song. It's a futuristic one. So no, cut the knights and the bloody swords. So I'm really nice, easy to work with. I'm very fast. I'm happy to do redos. I'm also happy to say, nah, I love it like this. Don't change it. So I'm not like a piece of jelly. But yeah, writing lyrics is really fun. And because there's a lot of, how I got into it is through singing TV commercials where you'd have to write lyrics for 15 seconds or 30 seconds on the spot. And then you also with so many songs that have to be translated, which I don't do. Someone else does that. But from Japanese into English. So I just fit I don't even have to come up with the idea. I just have to adapt the Japanese lyrics, which is what I did with Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicle songs.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
So you've got this beautiful music, you've got a guide melody, you've got the general idea of what the song's about. It's like, how easy is this?
Yeah. Well, that's a great job if you can get it.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely.
What about I mean, with the Metal Gear Solid stuff, I've seen that you've gotten to perform like in many different places. Of course, Japan, but also I've seen New York and Los Angeles. Like
Paris.
Paris. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I know,
like,
Paris. That was nuts because it was the audience was just so vocal. Which I think that was the first place outside of Japan that I had performed the songs in. So it was a real shocking thrill to have people screaming. I was like, ah! Yeah, that was so fantastic. What a dream come true. Symphony orchestra, sparkly dress.
Yeah.
Rabid fans.
Yeah. Epic songs. I mean, I haven't played the games, but I've been listening to the songs. They are just...
The songs are... I haven't played the game either. Yeah. Too scary. I find it all too scary. Like... When the new Blueberry iMac came out in 1997, it had a free game called Dino something. And I was like, oh, this is good. And then I was terrified. My parasympathetic nervous system actually thought that I was being chased by a dinosaur. So I don't have the ability to say, oh, this is not real. Yeah. To me, the roller coaster is going to go off its rails.
Oh, you're a good actress,
I couldn't even go on roller coasters.
No, but that is just an awesome opportunity. And but I heard you like speaking a little bit about like the difference between like a Japanese orchestra versus like some of the Western orchestras. Like, what have you noticed there?
I think I need to be really careful here.
Sure, okay.
Um, mm, mm. Well, I can answer this by saying the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra is one of the best orchestras in the world. And then some of the orchestras overseas were just orchestras for hire that were put together of different musicians. So it wasn't like they played together all the time.
Okay. Yeah. That, I mean, that's two totally different categories.
Yeah. So that's so so now in the Tokyo Philharmonic, I've done 4 concerts with them, and it's just like flawless.
Yeah. Huh.
Flawless. And also, they don't have unions saying, right, down tools. That was a huge shock in New York and LA, like a massive culture shock after living in Japan for so long.
Yeah.
And that, okay, we can't rehearse this because it's down tools. What do you mean down tools? Well, it's a 2-hour rehearsals up, but we haven't got. There was a massive shock.
Yeah. Well, you know, Japan, they don't let things like that stop them.
Yeah, and they don't have. I don't think maybe they have unions, but they it's just a completely different culture. So that was a bit of a culture shock when I now when I go back, I'll be aware and be prepared because I didn't know. So that Nicholas Buck, the conductor, said, "So that you're fine, Donna? You're fine?" Like I normally, and he wasn't saying, "Would you like to do it again?"
Right.
It was like, "You're fine, and please get off and go away."
We're done, yeah.
Like, you're fine. Yeah, because it's a very strict time
Sure.
constraints in rehearsal.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. I was noticing something a little bit different from, you know, what we've been discussing here, but I also saw like hotties, like it's this, like you have a heat pad company?
I do, and I've got one right here.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Are they like Cairo, basically? Like,
Yeah, they're Cairo.
okay,
They're
okay, that's
Japanese
what I thought they
Cairo.
were, but I wanted to make sure because I know them as Cairo.
Yeah, so this is something I started at the same year I started my booking agency and studio, 2004.
Yeah.
I am so sick and tired of going to Perth, Western Australia, a hot part of Australia, and bringing these. This is basically like carrying sand. I've got 6 brothers and sisters, my mum, my dad. Oh, can you get me some of those, you know, those hot pack things? Oh, yeah. So I was paying excess baggage at Qantas because my luggage was so heavy because of heat pads.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe, it's like, what? How is this not a thing in Australia? And meanwhile, I'm using them heaps because back in the day, I hardly did any exercise, and I was like going to the chiropractor. Why is my back so sore? He goes, "Have you tried going to the gym?" "Oh, I don't like gyms." I just popped this heat pack on. I'll be right. But anyway, so that's it. It was like an entrepreneurial. I just cannot believe that this is not going to be huge. Yeah. And I did it, and it's really big in Australia and New Zealand now, and that helps me be. So 2 of my staff are paid for by hotties.
Wow!
So a lot of the content that's been created in the last few years is because of hotties.
Wow!
So it's weird. It's funny that you bring this up because I am now going to do a Ryan Reynolds and a Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds is always talking about Aviation Gin, which is his brand of gin.
Oh, yeah.
And I am going to be talking about hotties. I need a rival, though, so I'm thinking maybe I'm going to do a split screen, and I'm going to, because like Hugh Jackman and Ryan are always having his feuds and fights, so I need to find someone to have a good fight with. So, but they're creating really funny content.
Yeah.
So I'm going to create some really funny content about hotties.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you can buy it on Amazon in America and UK, but it's really small in America at the moment. So I'm going to use my Twitter platform to get the because this is like drugs.
Yeah.
The first one's free, and then you're addicted to for life.
Well, Cairo are like these things that foreigners, when they get to Japan, the first thing they do is like, what is this? Why would you need this? And then they love it usually. You know, it's just because, of course, Japan gets pretty cold, and so it's very practical. But aside from that, like I was reading, like you have a whole bunch of interesting uses for it too. Like put it in your pet's cage on the way to the vet. Like aside from
but can you imagine Australia? It's like Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's like saying, why would you? So when I was in Hawaii last year, I've got a good friend who lives there.
Oh.
And I visited Whole Foods, and I was giving him to the girls who are working there. And oh, this is so good because it's freezing in there, and they're standing on the cold floor. And actually, a lot of women use it for period pain.
Oh.
So there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah,
they've just got this squelchy pain in their abdomen, which if you put a heat pad on it. And when I was a school teacher, I used to walk into class holding a hot water bottle.
Yeah.
So everyone knew I had my period. And it was like, they were year 11s and 12s, so it didn't matter. It's like, you're all grown up.
Yeah. And in Japan, they have like they call them the haramaki, like the belly band thing with a little pocket so that you can put the Cairo in the pocket.
I've got those.
Yeah. They are way ahead of the game on the Cairo front.
And the thing is, because they're in Australia, we were just taught to pop a painkiller.
Oh,
Yeah, if you have any pain, you just have a painkiller. There's no history of heat.
Yeah.
Or so it's really been a great product. It makes people feel happy. And coming into 2021, I'm gonna create lots of fun content, and it's really so. I never used to want to push it before. Hello, do you have a low back problem? Why don't you try hotties? Are you playing gaming too much? So now I'm just gonna I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be serious. I'm just gonna be failed hotties campaigns and just put like really silly content up. And have a good laugh.
I don't know if you've watched Schitt's Creek with
Yes! Oh my God!
Moira. You reminded me of Moira.
Moira Rose. Alexa.
Yes.
David. Yeah. Oh God, I love. So, what? You think I'm Moira?
Well, your voice and the personality that you are constructing here for this ad campaign is reminded me of Moira. Yes.
So maybe Moira Rose. I can be like a Moira Rose type character. So or either there'll be two Donna Burkes and then one of them is evil and one of them is good.
Well, I would watch these ads. I'd happily watch these ads.
Yeah, just have a bit of a laugh, and that's what I'm going for. I just want people, even though I sing these really depressing songs, I actually like having a laugh.
Yeah. No, I figured that out when I was listening to your podcast appearances.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Last couple things. So I lived in Japan for a few years. I remember this commercial very well, but of course the Zoom Zoom Mazda commercials, you did the voice for that, right?
I did for many years.
Yeah, like that was a very prominent
this year.
ad campaign.
It's finished.
Oh, okay.
It's finished this year.
Changed it up.
Mazda, Zoom Zoom. I mean, seriously? Yeah. Anyone could do that.
I know, yeah, but it's those little voices that like you don't think about it all, and then one day you realize, oh, this person that I saw somewhere someday, like it's like, oh, she's the one that, oh my God, I didn't know that, and then it blows your mind, right?
So when do you want me to do the Shinkansen?
Well,
are you ready?
I really do want you to do that one because the name of the podcast is Japan Station. So,
oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Japan Station. We will be stopping at Hawaii and Tokyo before arriving at...
Oh, my God.
Somewhere.
Oh, well, thank you.
I just did a new recording this week, actually.
Oh, really? So, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So, like, how... Because every once in a while, they'll make some change or maybe add a new line or something. Like, about how frequent do you have to re-record something?
Once a year. Well, like the year they invented Wi-Fi. The year they invented terrorism. With people lighting themselves on fire. The year they invented global tourists coming with suitcases and wondering where the hell are we going to put them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then I went to the Eurostar for when I was doing Metal Gear in Paris, and there's no announcements. It's dead quiet, and they just have these like a screen. But I've heard that the JR like all the sleepy people to be gently woken up by a lovely motherly voice.
Well,
And that won't happen if there's just a screen.
yeah. I mean, your voice is a good voice to wake up to, I think. So it's gentle.
Yeah, that's right. That lovely voice. Lovely. Beautiful. Yeah, why didn't they ask me to do it like this? Come on, guys.
Your station's here.
Doors only open.
Get off.
Open on the left. Yeah, so no one's ever stopped me and asked me, wow, you sound familiar.
Yeah. So, regarding that, I remember you discussing in one of your appearances that they were specifically looking for somebody that would be in Japan for a long time. I guess
That's true.
I guess it's because they knew that they would have to be re-recording and adding new things. Is that really the reason?
Yeah. And you know what? I just found out this week that I'm now the one that's been doing it the longest.
Oh, wow.
So normally people do it for about 4 or 5 years. And now I've been doing it since 2003. 17 years.
Yeah. Have you had to ever re-record the original ones, or are they
I
the
did.
same?
So
Okay.
the original one was 2003, and I used a British accent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shinkansen. And by the time I had to do it again, I thought, no one in Japan would be able to tell the difference between posh Aussie and English, because the woman before was Canadian doing a shady British accent. Not very well. So I thought, you know what? The Japanese, they won't know that it's... And then, if you're American, you'll just think I'm British. So, because, no offence, but you can't really tell. So only Aussies, Poms, that's English people, and New Zealanders be able to tell that it's Aussie.
Yeah.
Everyone else thinks I'm British. So, yes.
Have you done other train lines specifically? Because I know you did some for the airport as well, but
not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of. No. But I just a couple of years ago, and I still haven't heard this. This is terrible, but I can't ever be bothered to go and have a listen. But I'm doing the track announcements on the outside of the train. So before you'd go to catch the Shinkansen, and on air, so there'd be nothing in English, and so now it's like, ladies and gentlemen, the next train will be departing from platform 5. So I'm doing the outside of platform announcements as well.
Okay.
For that train line.
Is it ever weird when you hear yourself, or are you just numb to it?
Yeah, I'm getting used to it, but it's in the early days I'd forget that I was going to hear my voice, and then I'd be like, oh, and then I really want to say, to turn around and
elbow the guy next to you.
Yeah, take a listen to that, eh? You wonder who that is, and but then and also the people who work in it, because the Japanese take enormous pride in the company that they work for, and they get a massive kick out of if I revealed myself. They'd be like, woo! So, but no, I know this is terrible. I hide my light under a bushel when I go on the train.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's... what are you going to be doing? Like doing like a subway stand-up routine on the train? Like,
I could be.
I know you are capable of it, but please do not take that to mean that I don't think you are capable of it.
Nah, it depends what mood I'm in, but it's such a nice. Everyone in the world knows it's nice to bring a smile to someone's face.
Yeah.
So if I can do that, then why not?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Have you ever been invited to a JR party?
Next question.
Okay.
I wasn't offended. I've never thought about that, but now I'm thinking, damn them.
Just wondering, how they think about you.
I'm going to put a positive spin on this. I think I'd be mobbed.
Yeah. Maybe.
And
yeah.
I think they are thinking about my health and safety in
Yes.
not inviting me because
Yes.
I think I'd just be.
they have you raised on a pedestal. They can't get too close to you because it's.
They're probably too scared to ask me. Let's just put that spin on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they should be too. They have to pull me off the stage. Donna-san, thank you. No, I've got another announcement I'd like to make.
More you this.
The sushi bar's open.
Oh my God. All right. Well, Donna, thank you. So where should people go to check out your stuff? Keep up? I know Twitter, of course, you seem to be quite active on Twitter too, right?
Yeah, I really like Twitter, and I really like Twitter. If you want to come say hello on Twitter, and check out the new Glassy Sky 2020.
Yeah, I was listening to
song.
that Glassy Sky today. I saw you post on Twitter about it, so yeah, I was checking that out. But
Has it gone live yet?
well, I had to check out the original Glassy Sky because I couldn't. Yeah, but I saw your post about the 2020 version today.
Yeah,
because it had just gone up
it's-
like a couple hours ago as of the time of this recording. So
Yeah.
but that is DB underscore actor underscore singer, or which one is it?
No, I think singer underscore actor.
Okay, well I'll include the link in the show notes anyway.
I can't
but
remember.
Yeah.
Just Google my thought.
Yeah. You're not hard to find.
No. Anyway, good. Such a fun talking to you.
Yes,
and,
it was an absolute pleasure, Donna. It was an honor, and every time that I will pass through Japan get on the train, I will always remember this conversation. So. For all the links to Donna's Twitter, her website, hotties, go check out the show notes, check in your podcast app, or of course you can go over to japanstationpodcast.com and click on episode 56, and it's all gonna be there, all right? Just crazy, right? I love getting to do this show. I love getting to talk to people like Donna and all my guests. It's just amazing. Like, I learn so much, but also I just have so much fun, and I get to talk to these people that I would never, ever, ever get a chance to talk to. I'm sorry. I don't know if it sounds like I'm bragging, but I love this. I love this. And I hope that gets across, like hearing people laugh and hearing people smile, right? Like talk as they smile. It can be contagious. And I hope that at the very least, that gets across and maybe makes you feel a little bit better. All right. So anyway, thank you so much again to Donna. And if you enjoyed the show, if this is just your first episode, then hey, why not subscribe? Right. I always do my absolute best to bring you the best show possible. So there's plenty more coming, and there's already 55 other episodes for you to listen to. Again, hit that subscribe button. That does help the show keep on growing. Of course, you can leave a rating and a review, especially on Apple Podcasts. That certainly does help. And remember to follow on Facebook and Twitter at Japankyo News, JAPANKYO News, NEWS. All right. As always, thank you to Unomi for providing the opening and closing song, Oedo controller, information in the show notes. And that does it for this episode. Next episode is going to be, well, there's a really interesting backstory to this episode. And it's actually an in-person interview that I did here in Hawaii. But it's actually a Corona interview. That's why it was in person. But it's with somebody that is really, really well known. And they are perhaps one of the leading scholars in the world of Japanese literature. So make sure to come back for that. I'm not going to say anything else, but it's a really interesting conversation with a prominent and respected person that I think many of you will recognize. So come back for that on January 15th. All right. By the way, if you haven't checked out my other podcast, Ichimon Japan, go check that out. The latest episode is about annoying things in Japan that, things that me and my co-host just happen to find annoying, and it doesn't get particularly serious. There are rather silly things, but for example, those little plastic things in the bento boxes, like those little plastic leaves, we talk about that, and we also tell you what they're called. So if you want to find out what that is, go check out episode 33 of Ichimon Japan, link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, go find your miniature pony.
Just do it!
Hey, Tony here. So just a little reminder here at the end of the show. everything that I produce via japankyo.com is independently produced by me. So I put in the time, the effort, the money. And although I am not complaining at all, I love all the stuff that I'm getting to do through japankyo.com, producing the podcast from beginning to end. It's great stuff. And I feel honored that I get to do a lot of stuff that I get to do. But like I said, it does take time and money. And so if you want to make sure that this is a financially viable thing for me to do, then you can do a few things to financially support the show. You can become a patron over at japankyo.com/Patreon, or you can go to kimitodesigns.com, pick up a t-shirt or a hat or whatever else I have on sale there. Or you can do something else that won't cost you anything extra at all. But the next time you do your shopping on Amazon, just use the japankyo.com/Amazon affiliate link. And like I said, it won't cost you anything extra, but a tiny percentage of whatever you buy will come over here so that I can keep paying for hosting and doing the various things that I do here. I know times are tough, so if you can't become a patron or whatever, that is totally fine. I just hope that you are getting entertainment and information and you are just enjoying the stuff that I'm putting out. That is the ultimate reward for me. But for those of you who can afford to support the show, well, then there you go. You know what to do. All right. As always, thank you for listening and see you next time.